Hello, my name's Elizabeth Echevarria. I'm the founder of Living and Liberty, a nonprofit in Pittsburgh that helps women transition out of a life of sex trafficking. We've been around since 2012, and we've started this YouTube channel hoping to educate people more about the issue of human trafficking, about the work of Living in Liberty and other organizations, and how you can engage, whether it be with Living in Liberty or another organization. So I'm so excited today. We have Taryn Pheifer with us, who's one of our staff at Living in Liberty. She's worked in several different capacities in the Safe Home. She's now leading our online and social media. So just so excited to have you today, Taryn.
Happy to be here.
Well, and today we're going to be talking kind of 4 issues that we'd like to cover. We're going to talk about human trafficking in the U.S. and what that looks like, some details around that. We're going to be talking about Taryn's short time in the safe house, or the time that she spent in the safe house, and just what she observed and her experience there. Next, we're going to talk about her current role and what she does in social media and online outreach. What does online trafficking look like, and what does online outreach look like? So you can learn a little bit more about that. And then last, we're going to round out with how you could potentially engage with our new ambassador program that Taryn just recently rolled out. And so she's going to share some details around that. So let's get started. Let's dig in. Taryn, let's start with the question of, what does human trafficking look like in the US?
Yeah. For me, in the beginning, I was so shocked to find that so much of human trafficking is familial. There's a lot of different forms that trafficking can take. You have labor trafficking, you have all sorts. We obviously work with sex trafficking, which I've seen to be one of the most heartbreaking because of the way it breaks down the human soul. Sex is no small thing. And so when you use that, it has very, very, very hard side effects that we see in our women. And I've seen a lot of the ages that it takes, by the ages that it takes, I mean, I was surprised to know how young women can get it. I was surprised to understand that it isn't just women, it is boys. It is a lot of age groups. So yeah, it was a lot more intense than I had ever assumed it would be. And yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions around what it is. People think that everybody wants it. Depending on when they get in, the average age is about 12 to 14 that they're getting into these things through grooming. And so you assume, well, they kind of walked into it, but they're at an age where they don't even know themselves. So how can they make an informed decision, even though they're following along with somebody that might be leading them into that lifestyle? It is not consensual, which is sometimes the way that people spin it around, and then it can really affect those women when they've been in it a long time. So by the time that we find them sometimes in the street, they can be into their 40s, but it was never consensual to begin with. It's just a lifestyle that they were groomed into, and it's a hard way to get out. Very, very hard to get out.
So what is the youngest age you observed or worked with? Do you?
About 5, 6.
Yeah.
That was very hard. And multiple, actually. 5 and 6 was that age.
Yeah. And so where have you seen most of trafficking occur?
Well, just because of COVID, and especially because of the role I have now, online trafficking is there's a lot that you can do with it. Unfortunately, with the normalization of pornography, especially in the States, pornography just goes through the roof statistically with how many Americans are addicted to porn. And what porn does, it normalizes the systematic abuse of women. And you watch that long enough, it normalizes it, and then it's just a gateway to buying them. But in those kind of spheres where you have Pornhub nowadays, we have this thing called OnlyFans and a lot of other ones that are trailing behind them. It's becoming a, unfortunately, very opportune platform for traffickers to exploit women, to sell women, and they can make a killing. But it's around this form that looks like, oh, it's consensual because it must have checks and balances because it's an organization. And that is a very strong front for the traffickers to hide behind. But obviously you do find it in the streets. You can find it anywhere. You can find it in families selling their own children. But I would say for me, I've seen it a lot online, especially because of COVID, things going online. Um, yeah.
So, uh, you also spent some time working as a leader in the safe home, and so that
Mhm,
had some direct interactions with trafficking victims. Tell
mhm,
me about your experience and what you learned while you were working in the safe home.
mhm. I learned how amazing are these women really are, because you think that they're just going to be like the just incredibly broken, and they absolutely are. But I was so shocked to find how much potential is in these women, how intelligent they are, how discerning they can be, because they've been so manipulated that you think that there's things that they're going to miss, and they struggle to discern things that you and I would. But I just I just see such beautiful women, and that's what makes it so much more heartbreaking,
Mm.
because they, you just love them. You love them so much, and then you hear their story, and I was very also shocked just to find out. Again, I've talked quite a bit in the interview, but a lot of the familial side of it. The younger they are, it's obviously or typically going to be a parent that gets that ruling. And so it can be an uncle, things like that. But when it's directly related to a mother or a father,
Mhm,
that I can't even, it is so hard even talking to them about their struggles with that, because
mhm,
how it's so hard to see relationships outside of those formative and most close intimate relationships. So from the very beginning,
mhm,
thinking that that was where exploitation started for them. It wasn't you see coaches, we've seen it in our area. You see like kind of outside of their inner circle, but when it's a parent, it has a complex layer to the trauma, because they want to protect them because they're their parents, and
mm,
yet they're going through this vacillation between wanting to protect them, not wanting to make things hard on them, feeling like they're responsible, but even more so just so much anger, so much hatred, so much bitterness that you really, it's
mhm,
hard for them to even sort through that, because naturally there's a love that you have and a dependence you have. And when you're dependent, when they, excuse me, they are dependent on individuals that are exploiting them. Um, it's it's hard to watch them have to try to sort through that, and a lot of them have a lot of trouble even getting to sort through it, because there's so many crutches, addictions and things like that, because it's too much of a pain to touch, so it
mm,
normally gets numbed out. So seeing how multifaceted healing really is for our women because of how extensive the abuse can be, um, you just see that there's the just incredible women with so much potential that need so much love and so much care.
mhm,
Um, yeah, and also the mental health side of things.
mhm,
It was crazy to see, um, and even not only the mental health, but even the way that it breaks down the body. So we had one girl, and she just had so many her body was just breaking down on her essentially.
mm,
And you do know, commonly in abuse, there's going to be fibromyalgia, different things like that, because the body's immune system, it just starts attacking itself.
mhm,
And so when you see how physically, emotionally, mentally they're corroding from within, and they can't stop that, there is just a level of hopelessness that only makes mental illness perpetuate. And
mhm,
so and the element of feeling trapped, and they're in a safe house, and
mhm,
they feel almost re-traumatized just by being stuck somewhere. But if they're not stuck in a safe place, they're
right.
not choosing a safe place for a little bit, um that process will never be interrupted. So yeah, just seeing that it's not linear, it's all over the place. It's taking one step and going maybe even like 20, 30 steps back, and
Mhm.
then having to do that every day. It takes a lot of strength, and our women have it. But yeah, it was a beautiful and a very, very hard experience, but I'm so glad that I got to meet these amazing, amazing women.
And how did you maintain your strength? I mean, watching them take, 10 steps forward and then 20 back. That can be. To watch.
Yeah.
How did you manage that?
I had to lean into God. I really had, like, every single morning when I came to work, because also it's just it's the kind of work that you don't clock out.
Mhm.
You leave, but you're just in constant, like, what could I do here? How could I help there? And so that taxation on me, even just thinking that me holding like an iota of their burden, it just makes you realize how heavy the bonds that they're carrying
Mhm.
are, excuse me. But yeah, I had to lean into God every time I'd get in the office. I'd get in and early enough that they were still sleeping, so that I started every morning just praying and reading the word, because there was nothing within myself to give me that strength,
Mhm.
um, let alone carry someone else's um, weaknesses. It was just too much.
Mhm.
And so I couldn't have done it without the Lord, honestly.
Mhm.
He's the reason I was able to keep going. And I believe that he was the reason that so much change did occur, um, even in those setbacks as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. And I mean, I think change is that like that for all of us, isn't it? We make progress and then we regress and then we make progress and then we
Yeah.
regress. When we watch it in someone else, it's a lot harder to watch. But I think we just have to reflect back on ourselves when we make change. It's not linear for us either. And it's not
Yeah.
linear for our women. And so remembering that when we're doing the work is important. We also talk about recidivism, that the average number of times for success for one of our women in the home is, 14 times. That's a
Yeah.
lot of times. And we may be working with them when they're on number 6, and that
Yeah.
they may not be successful at number 6, but they're not going to get to that next one when they are going to be successful, or the number that they're going to be successful at. And so seeing them, work number 6 and maybe not be successful, we have to know that, well, that may get them to their 14, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and even it's so funny going off of what you just said. Even whenever you have something quote unquote mastered, like you learn something and it's one step there, and you're like, yeah, I got it. And then you realize that you have to keep saying yes to the thing you already know.
Mhm.
There's such a level of discipline and consistency, even once you have gotten to a place that you're like, wow, I've got it. And so yeah, it's hard seeing even like the simplicity of like, hey, make your bed in the morning. It's for you. Like it's a good purpose. Knowing to do it and doing it are two different things, because it's good. But
Mm.
having to do it again when you've woken up one night from horrific nightmares, it's a different feeling. You still know what to do. You've already mastered how to do it. Something as simple as that. It's like, yeah, consistency is hard even once you have gotten a step ahead. So, yeah, the healing process for our women, for anybody, is so long and uh, painstaking, honestly. But yeah.
So I know that you enjoyed the time in the house while also found it certainly difficult.
Yeah.
Then you have transitioned now into a new role with Living in Liberty, the social media and online outreach lead. And so what does that mean? And what do you do in that role with Living in
Mhm.
Liberty?
Yeah. So essentially, uh, our our women just need to be found right where they are, so that we can sit with them. Our outreach department in general, we in the street, we sit with women in their struggle, in their suffering, in their sin, just as Jesus has with ours. And so my goal in social media is to do the same thing that we do in the streets, but replicate it that way. So I have been making posts every day, so that somehow my content will get in front of them and I can give a voice to something and sit with them in a place right where they are and begin to speak truth that would start to break open those parts of their heart. They're like, I am really struggling, but I don't want to talk about it. So I'm pushing it down here and there. Um, so yeah, and one of the reasons for that, like I said earlier, COVID really took a big hit on everybody, and on the trafficking world, a lot of things went online. And
Mhm.
so Living in Liberty really needed a way to buffer that and recognize that the future of trafficking was transitioning a bit. And so that was why we created what's called Joy Space. And so in every area of social media, we're just trying to get our message, who we are in there, what the truth of their intrinsic worth of their value is, so that it begins to communicate something and hopefully build trust, so that they would be incentivized to reach out to us. We offer safety planning, resources, those kinds of things, if we need to help them figure out what their next steps would be if they're in a trafficking its situation. And then also just there are a lot of women nowadays that are part of a culture that has somehow made them believe essentially that empowerment is objectification. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of women out there that have maybe don't have a trafficker, but they have learned that culture has informed them that they're empowered whenever they begin to sell themselves. And we're seeing that grow exponentially um, at really high rates. It's really sad. But
Mhm.
I think it's in a similar way where you have a trafficker that there's an emotional and a mental slavery through the grooming process. So it can be with a worldview. And
Mhm.
so some of our women, they're enslaved to a worldview. And we really need to help them understand that, if it's breaking you down, it might be building up your wallet, but it's still not empowerment. And so really starting to question what true empowerment and what true freedom are and offer them truth and an honest reflection on what are they doing and is it healthy. So it's a different demographic. I'm not only looking to support women to come out of trafficking, but even situations where they don't have a trafficker and they're just struggling because they swallowed a bit of a lie. So yeah, that's a
And
lot
now,
of what.
now they're feeling exploited, right? Um,
Yeah.
Whereas initially they felt like it was their choice, and then all of a sudden they find themselves in situations where they're not feeling so good about the choices
Mhm.
that they've made, and they're having more mental health issues, right? So
Yeah.
we as an
Yeah.
organization at Living in Liberty have decided that we don't differentiate between those that may sell themselves or those that have a trafficker, because we feel like no one, at a young age, like 5, decides that they want to grow up and sell themselves. It's something, sometimes life choices or decisions made in moments where they don't have all the information, puts them in these situations that they don't know how to get themselves out of or
Yeah.
to help themselves. And so that's why we started Joy Space. So what Joy Space is a name of that particular arm of Living in Liberty, right? So how
Mhm.
we do online outreach. Kind of,
Mhm.
can you share a little bit of the history of why it was called Joy Space?
Yeah. So in the street, there was a woman. Her name was Joy,
Mhm.
and we unfortunately lost her. She ended up overdosing, sadly. But one of the things that she had always said was, "You need to do more for the women." And our faithful servants in the street were like, "We want to," and so it. We started seeing the way that things were working and things were going online, and we're like, "This is more for the women. This is what
Yes.
Joy would want." And so Joy Space is more. It's the more for the women that Joy always wanted. And yeah, it's just a reminder of her too, that she was one of our women and she didn't make it out. But she really had a heart for people to do so. And so we want to carry that heart online as well.
Yes. Yes. So they've learned a little bit about what we're doing for online outreach and what online trafficking looks like. What is, if someone wanted to engage, and you've rolled out this new ambassador program, eh,
Mhm.
just how can people engage?
Yeah. Yeah, we started the new ambassadors program because we're making videos like this. And uh, understand now from the algorithm that the more likes and watches the whole way through that we get within the first 24 hours, the more it boosts us in that algorithm so that we can get in front of more people with the expectation that we'll get more awareness prevention out to different people. And then also the Joy Space videos, we are hoping to get in front of women that are in the very situations that we've been talking about. And so by becoming an ambassador, you're improving the likelihood that we're going to get in front of the right population of people that can actually expand our work and help us even in our outreach online. Because it is very challenging to talk to people that do not like your message and don't want your help. Sometimes when you're researching stuff on YouTube or you're looking stuff up, it's because you want it. But when you become convinced that you are going to stay the same, that things are never going to change, or that even though you are breaking down a bit, you want to suppress that because you know that there is gain in the cash that you get. It's hard. And so even by liking and watching our Joy Space videos, you're really helping me, honestly, and our whole department to get in front of the very women that we are persistently trying to break new ground with, because this is still new. So by becoming an ambassador, you improve our likelihood of getting in front of the right populations. And it's really simple. You can do it from your own home. It's kind of basic, like, you know how you got the YouTubers that are like, click the alarm bell and like and subscribe. It's like that, but you know, for a good cause. And so all you have to do is email awareness@livingandliberty.org, and we'll put you on a list so that we can keep you up to date on certain things. Also, because we want to build a relationship with you. If you have a heart and for our cause, then we want to have a heart for you. Because even working in the safe house, I didn't just work with the women. I worked with all of our volunteers, and you know, we all go through a lot whenever we are doing this kind of work, and it pulls on parts of our heartstrings. Even learning the information that you're going to be sharing, Elizabeth, it can be heavy, you know, especially when you're not living that, like we're living life with these women. It's become not normal, but our version, because we're so used to understanding the impacts of trafficking. But whenever you're learning these things, it can be rough. So we want to be able to support you as you're supporting us as well. But yeah, so it's pretty simple.
So repeat, how do they become an ambassador?
So you can go ahead and email awareness@livingandliberty.org and just let them know you want to become an ambassador. You'll be put on a list so that we can start that relationship. All you need to do is go to our YouTube channels. It's the Living and Liberty channel and the Joy Space channel. You're going to watch those videos every time we post them, and you can be notified by subscribing, hitting the alarm bell so you'll be notified, and then just like them. And as you're watching them, go ahead and start sharing every once in a while on social media, using your platform to start speaking to your sphere of influence. But yeah, so pretty simple.
So, and is it important? Can I just watch a part of the video? Should I watch the whole video? What?
We want you to watch the whole video, because if it doesn't go the whole way through, then we're not going to trick the algorithm. Or not trick, but trip, I should say, the algorithm. So yeah, watching it the whole way through is pretty important.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the three things that they need to do is to watch the video and watch it all the way through, subscribe and like, and then actually maybe share it on the page.
Yep.
So, and then to make sure to email awareness@livingandliberty.org to get on the list to be notified of opportunities when videos or other things that we might want you to take action on. Or is there anything else you want to add to that?
I think I would add, if you are having a busy day and you don't have time to watch one the whole way through, you can even turn it down a little bit, because even if you're not watching them, and we're still tripping the algorithm, so the same thing is happening. We would love you to go back and watch, just so that you can be more informed, because we're going to have really good information on how you can spot trafficking, how to prevent trafficking, how to put up certain boundaries for kids. There's a lot of grooming going on social media, and just how it works in the US and in Pittsburgh area. So we would love for you to listen to that content, obviously, but we also respect the fact that people have a million different things on their plate. So even if you know that you're busy, it doesn't change the fact that you can still do these things. Yeah. So I think that would be, you know, sometimes what comes up when people think it's great, but people are like content machines nowadays. Am I going to have time for that? And we understand that. We want to respect that. We do plan on sharing one video a week on each channel. So if you did one, you know, you'd have to do, because it'd be immediate. Yeah. So we post them both usually on Wednesdays. So we understand that that's 2 videos right there. But maybe going through it and then watching it later after we've tip that algorithm. That would be great.
Yes, because what it's doing is helping us get up so that when people are searching for content and really do want to listen to information about trafficking, and we're going to be providing, you know, truthful, accurate information about Pittsburgh, you know, locally, nationally, and internationally. Next week, we're going to be meeting with someone from our awareness and prevention team who goes out and he speaks a lot in school. His name is Joe, and he's actually a pastor as well. So I'm excited that we're going to have him next week talking about, you know, his opportunities speaking in school and why prevention is so important. So thank you, Taryn, for joining us today. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Like I said, I'm thankful that you're part of our team. Thank you so much.
Happy to be here always.
Well, thanks. I'm gonna stop